Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor.
1,000 bottles of baby oil. Just pause on that number for a moment. 1,000, that's not for a party. And it's definitely not for a store. That's what federal agents discovered when they stormed the homes of one of the most famous men on the planet. On a bright Monday in March, helicopters filled the skies over Los Angeles and Miami. Armored vehicles shut down streets. Federal agents in full tactical gear, carrying heavy weapons, forced their way into the mansions of Sean Diddy Combs. What was really hidden inside those homes? And how did a billion-dollar empire start collapsing in a single afternoon? Because once the truth came out, everything people thought they knew changed. This was the day the feds showed up, March 25, 2024, in the ultra-exclusive Holmby Hills neighborhood of Los Angeles, where Diddy lived. The house itself is massive, complete with an underwater tunnel, a private gym, and a grotto. It looks like something straight out of a movie. But that day, it wasn't a celebrity pulling up to the gate. It was the Department of Homeland Security. Suddenly, the sound of helicopters took over the neighborhood. News choppers were already overhead, broadcasting everything live. Viewers at home watched as agents with police written across their backs flooded the property, guns drawn. Inside the house, things spiraled fast. Diddy's two sons, Justin and Christian, were inside at the time, and they weren't given any special treatment. Agents placed them in handcuffs. One video even showed rifle lasers pointed directly at them. They were escorted out and made to sit on the lawn while agents searched the entire property at the same exact moment. Across the country in Miami, another federal team was raiding Diddy's second home on Star Island. Star Island is a private high-security area where only the wealthiest live. Agents forced their way into that house too. They were searching for specific items, phones, computers, and anything that could contain hidden secrets. So where was Diddy during all of this? He wasn't home. He was at the Miami airport, preparing to board his private jet. He was planning to fly to the Bahamas with his daughters for spring break, but he never took off. Federal agents stopped him on the runway at Opa-locka Executive Airport. He wasn't arrested that day, but something else happened that may have hit just as hard. Agents seized his phone and electronics and grounded his plane. Witnesses saw Diddy pacing back and forth, visibly stressed, wearing a white t-shirt and blue pants as agents searched his luggage, while Diddy was stuck at the airport. Another major development unfolded. Police arrested a man named Brendan Paul. Brendan was a former basketball player who worked closely with Diddy. Some people referred to him as Diddy's mule, someone who carries things for someone else, often illegal items. When officers searched Brendan's travel bags, they found cocaine and marijuana edibles. He was arrested on the spot. This became the first domino to fall. Now let's get into what agents actually found inside those homes. This is the part that shocked everyone. When law enforcement conducts a raid, they document every single item they seize. That list is called an inventory, and the inventory from Diddy's properties was unlike anything people had seen before. Let's start with the baby oil. According to the indictment, the official document outlining the charges, agents recovered over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Think about that. Even using one bottle a month, that supply would last decades. The government said it wasn't for skincare. They claimed it was used during what they called freak-offs, alleged multi-day parties hosted by Diddy. According to investigators, the oil was used in such extreme quantities that it resembled an industrial supply rather than something meant for a home. Diddy's attorney tried to downplay it, joking that maybe there was a sale at Costco and pointing out that Americans often buy in bulk, but most people weren't convinced. 1,000 bottles is far beyond normal bulk buying, and it didn't stop there. Agents also discovered weapons, real firearms. 3 AR-15 rifles were found inside the home. While gun ownership can be legal, these weapons raised serious red flags. The serial numbers had been scratched off. A serial number is like a gun's fingerprint, and removing it is typically done to prevent tracing. Simply possessing a defaced firearm is a serious crime. On top of that, agents found gun parts stored in closets, suggesting weapons were being assembled or taken apart. They also recovered high-capacity magazines capable of firing large numbers of rounds without reloading. This didn't look like basic self-defense, it looked like an arsenal. Then came the drugs. Investigators described it as a full-blown pharmacy of illegal substances. They found ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB. GHB is often referred to as a day trip drug because it can cause memory loss or unconsciousness. In the Miami home, a Gucci bag tested positive for cocaine residue. They also found Tusi, commonly called pink cocaine, a dyed mixture of multiple drugs. Brendan Paul later told the court that Diddy was a fan of Tusi, claiming it made him extremely creative when he used it. And with that, the picture investigators were building became even darker. Agents also discovered medical equipment. And this is where things get especially disturbing. They found 4 fluids and tubing, the same kind of 4 bags you'd see in a hospital for dehydration or illness. According to investigators, these were needed because the parties went on for so long sometimes. days without sleep or food that people required IVs just to keep going. That's what the freak-offs were. So what was all of this really for? The guns? The drugs? The oil? The IV? The government says it was all part of a criminal enterprise. They claim Diddy ran his world like a mob boss. And the centerpiece of that operation was something he called a freak-off. A freak-off wasn't just a party, it was a full production. Prosecutors say Diddy would fly in male and female sex workers from across the country, paying for their flights and hotels. That's where the federal transportation charges come in, paying for someone to cross state lines for illegal sex is a serious federal crime. These events were carefully organized. Diddy's assistants would book the hotel rooms, arrive early, and set everything up. They stocked the rooms with what they called freak-off kits, linens, special lighting, and yes, the baby oil. According to the government, these events were not consensual or enjoyable for the women involved. They allege Diddy used force, threats, and intimidation to make them participate. Prosecutors say he supplied drugs like ketamine and ecstasy to keep them compliant and then filmed everything. When agents searched his devices, they found massive amounts of footage, terabytes of data, millions of megabytes. Investigators reportedly had to review thousands of hours of video. In those videos, they allegedly saw freak-offs taking place, with Diddy directing everything like a movie. He told people what to do, where to stand, and recorded it all. Why record it? Victims say it was for blackmail. If anyone tried to leave or go to the authorities, he could threaten to release the footage and destroy their lives. It was control through fear. The videos reportedly involved celebrities and regular people alike, things no one would ever want made public. None of this would have come to light if it weren't for one woman. Her name is Cassie Ventura. Many people know her as the R&B singer behind the hit song Me and You. She was in a relationship with Diddy for more than 10 years. Publicly, they looked like a perfect couple. Privately, Cassie says her life was a nightmare. In November 2023, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Diddy, and it changed everything. She was the first to speak openly about the freak-offs. She described being forced to participate, saying Diddy used violence, threats, and even carried a gun to intimidate her. She said he beat her if she didn't comply. She also detailed a terrifying incident from 2016, when she tried to leave him at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. She said she attempted to escape through the elevator, but Diddy caught her. For years, it was her word against his. Diddy denied everything, claiming she was lying and just looking for money. But then the evidence surfaced. Along with everything else, investigators obtained security footage from that hotel. In May 2024, CNN released the video, and it stunned the world. The footage shows Cassie walking down the hallway toward the elevator, wearing a hoodie and carrying her bags. Moments later, Diddy runs out of the room wearing only a towel. He grabs her by the back of the neck, slams her to the ground, kicks her, and drags her across the floor like she weighs nothing. Then he picks up a glass vase and throws it at her. There's no sound, but the video says everything. It confirmed that Cassie had been telling the truth and showed Diddy was capable of extreme violence. After the video was released, Diddy posted an apology on Instagram. He said he was ashamed of his behavior and claimed he had sought help. For many people, though, it didn't matter. The damage was done. Cassie's lawsuit triggered a domino effect. Once she spoke out, others followed. A music producer named Rodney Jones, also known as Lil Rod, filed a massive lawsuit seeking $30 million. He worked on Diddy's recent album and lived with him for months. According to Lil Rod, he saw everything firsthand. His lawsuit was filled with detailed allegations. He's the one who identified Brendan Paul as the alleged drug mule. He provided photos of drugs, described the weapons, and claimed Diddy's inner circle helped run the entire operation. He specifically named Diddy's chief of staff, Christina, calling her the Ghislaine Maxwell to Diddy's Jeffrey Epstein, a comparison that carried serious weight. Lil Rod also alleged that Diddy walked around naked in front of him, groped him, and showed him explicit videos of other famous people in an attempt to pressure him into participating. He described the environment as a house of horrors. And then there was Kid Cudi. The rapper briefly dated Cassie during a break in her relationship with Diddy. According to Cassie, Diddy was enraged and even threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car. And here's the part that still shocks people just weeks later. Kid Cudi's car actually exploded in his driveway. Cudi later confirmed it in court, saying his vehicle was on fire and he was terrified. All of these stories painted a disturbing picture of a man who believed he was untouchable, someone who thought he could assault women, blow up cars, and traffic people without ever facing consequences. Fast forward to May 25, when the trial finally began in New York City. This was being called the trial of the century. Diddy was facing major charges: racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. If convicted on everything, he was looking at spending the rest of his life in prison. The courtroom was packed day after day. Diddy sat at the defense table in tailored suits, stone-faced and serious. His family filled the seats behind him, his mother Janice and his children, hoping the jury would see him as a devoted family man. But the government came in with overwhelming evidence. They brought out the baby oil. They displayed photos of the weapons. They played video footage. And then Cassie took the stand. Just imagine how difficult that was, sitting feet away from the man who abused her and telling her story in front of a jury. She spoke about the freak-offs, the drugs, and the constant fear she lived in. The defense pushed back hard. They argued that Cassie was a willing participant and presented old text messages to support their claim. One message from 2009 showed Cassie telling Diddy she was always ready to freak off. The defense used that to argue the relationship was consensual and toxic, not criminal. Then Brendan Paul took the stand, but by that point, he had flipped. He testified for the government, admitting he bought drugs for Diddy and explaining how Diddy behaved while under the influence. He told the jury about 2C, also known as pink cocaine, and how Diddy became extremely creative when using it. Jurors were also shown messages from Diddy's staff. One assistant texted about needing to restock baby oil and forgetting to grab cash. Another discussed buying multiple pills of Molly. These messages made it clear the freak-offs weren't random or spontaneous. They were planned, organized, and treated like business operations. Then came the verdict. On July 2, 2025, the jury returned with their decision as the entire world watched. The clerk read the results. Racketeering, conspiracy, not guilty. Sex trafficking, not guilty. Diddy likely felt a moment of relief, knowing he had avoided a life sentence. The jury wasn't convinced the government proved a full criminal enterprise or the level of force required for the trafficking charge. But the relief didn't last long. On the remaining counts, transportation to engage in prostitution, the verdict was guilty. Guilty again. The jury agreed that Diddy used his wealth, planes, and influence to move people across state lines for illegal sexual activity. While it wasn't a total victory for prosecutors, Diddy was now officially a convicted felon. Sentencing took place in October 2025. This was when the judge would decide how much time he would serve. Diddy knew prison was unavoidable. The only question was how long. He stood before the court wearing a cream-colored sweater and broke down in tears. He sobbed as he told the judge, "I am not a monster." He said drugs and excess had consumed him. He apologized to his mother, his children, and to Cassie, admitting he was wrong for putting his hands on the woman he claimed to love. His attorneys played a 12-minute video highlighting his charitable work and his role as a father, hoping to show the judge another side of him. They asked for lenience, probation, or home confinement, but prosecutors pushed back hard. They described Diddy as a predator who silenced victims for decades and requested a sentence of more than 10 years. Judge Subramanian listened carefully, then addressed Diddy directly. He spoke about how Diddy paid for and organized these acts, emphasizing the abuse of power, the massive scale of the operation, and the coordination involving money and staff. Then he delivered the sentence: for years and 2 months in federal prison, along with a $500,000 fine. It wasn't life behind bars, but it was real prison time. Diddy would be locked up until 2028. Today, Diddy is serving his sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Fort Dix, New Jersey. It's a low-security facility, but it's still prison. He wears a uniform. He sleeps in a bunk. The private jets, mansions, and luxury lifestyle are gone. His legal team is appealing the conviction, arguing the trial was unfair and the jury misunderstood key points. They're fighting to reduce his sentence or overturn it altogether. But no matter what happens next, the damage to his legacy is permanent. For decades, Diddy represented success. He was the man who said nobody could hold him down, who bridged hip-hop and corporate America, selling music, fashion, and aspiration. Now, his name brings up very different images. The baby oil, the hallway video, the freak-offs, and the women who say they were flown across the country and coerced into things they never wanted to do. The raids on March 25th pulled back the curtain on a glamorous empire and revealed something much darker. They proved that money and power can't hide the truth forever. When the doors were kicked in, what investigators found was shocking, but it was the voices of the victims, like Cassie and Lil Rod, that finally brought everything crashing down. So what do you think? Did 4 years feel too light, or was justice finally served? The empire may have fallen, but the impact of what happened behind those mansion walls will echo for a long time. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the craziest stories are the ones that turn out to be true.